In today's video, I decide once and for all who the best punter in the NFL is, and this is a lot more complicated than you might think. So starting off, when I was on my quest to find the best punter in the NFL, I thought I would just do it the easy way, look up who's the best punters in the NFL, maybe find a few articles, kind of combine them, and use that. However, my audience deserves better. They really deserve to know who the definite best punter in the NFL is. So I put together a very in-depth breakdown. The first thing I looked at was kind of the obvious thing: who won the All-Pro, who won the Pro Bowl, see if I could kind of limit it down. Well, it turns out that just was not enough information. I thought maybe there would be like backup punters in the Pro Bowl and stuff like that. However, that just was not the case. AJ Cole and Brian Anger, the Raiders punter and the Dallas punter, were the two punters on all-pro teams and two punters in the Pro Bowl. So I had to move on, just throw that away, clean slate, look at the pure punting statistics, get down into the nitty-gritty. The first thing you think of when you think about a punter is, well, how far do they punt the ball? Of course, you want a punter who can punt it far. So in this breakdown, none other than Brian Stonehouse, the house made of stone.
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that.
The Tennessee Titans punter. And for most of these statistics, I'm looking at like a percentage of punts. I'm not looking at total overall, because I'm not giving the Carolina Panthers punter a huge upgrade just because his team sucks and they punt the ball all the time. So no, I don't care. This is per punt averages, and this is for all of the stats I'm looking at. So yes, the Stonehouse comes in at first by a good margin at 53.1 yards per punt. Second place, Brian Anger, is only at 51.4, and third place is only at 50.6. At 7 is the Eagles punter, first guy below 50 yards per punt. And then all the way down at the bottom is Presley Harvin and Lou Headley at 43 yards per punt. So number one is about 10 more yards per punt. That is a huge difference and could cost teams games, give teams wins, and so on. But I know what you may be thinking. Not all punting times are good times to punt the ball far. Sometimes you just want to pin them deep in the 20. So yes, do not worry, that is next up. As far as who kicked the ball in the 20 the highest percentage of the time, number one is once again the Stonehouse at 52.8% of his punts being within the 20.
Respect is earned. Respect is never given.
Second place is 50 with Mitch Wisniewski, the 49ers punter, and third place is Logan Cook, the Jacksonville punter, at 47.5%. All of the top 10 are at 41% or higher, and this really drops off with some people, partially probably because the teams are bad. For example, the Arizona punter only has 21.6% of his punts within the 20. That means that the Stonehouse is over twice as likely to kick a punt within the 20. However, unfortunately, there are not punt statistics available for me of punts that land within the 10, but I just don't know if it's gonna happen. I just don't want to spend my resources on paying people to watch every single punt in the NFL last year. So anyways, this is looking really good for the Stonehouse. He has the highest percentage of punts in the 20 and has the furthest punts in the NFL. You will notice that a lot of the top 5 for distance are not in the top 5 and in the 20. So you may be thinking, this is it, the Stonehouse, best punter in the league. But there is a lot more to this video. If you like it so far, please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. But back to the video. The next thing I had to consider, just had to consider, is net punting yards. So what this really accounts for is the punter shooting the ball way up in the air and giving it plenty of hang time so that you don't have long returns, because if you punt it far and then they return it all the way, who cares? So the net return takes off all of the return yards that the other team, that the returner had. So in this statistic, we see the dethroning of the Stone House.
Oh, it's on, big boy.
With Brian Anger taking the #1 spot over the Stonehouse. Stonehouse is #2. So Brian Anger, Cowboys punter, has 45.3 yards. So on average, when he punts the ball, the other team takes over 45 yards down the field. Stonehouse is 44, so is Michael Dixon, newcomer on the list. The Eagles, Braden Mann, was 43.8, and you see a ton of players in the lower 40s. Unfortunately for Chicago, their punter, Trenton Gill, only averaged 38 yards, so that's almost 7.5 yards. And if you're thinking, how could there possibly be more in-depth coverage, there's this last statistic that is very, very important. And I don't think I could do a complete analysis without it. And that is percentage of punts that are touchbacks. A touchback is almost always a bad punt. I don't know why you would ever want it to be a touchback. You would always want it to land within the 10, within the 5, within the 1. But you don't want it in the end zone, or they just get it at the 20. This makes it a much, much worse punt, because most of the time, these are when you want to flip the field, you want to pin them deep, coffin corner punt, and really change the game with a great punt. However, you kick it into the end zone and it's all ruined. They have decent field position. Once again, this is a big no-no. So, the percentage of touchback punts. Very impressive. Rigoberto Sanchez, the Indianapolis punter, kicked 0 touchbacks last year. He punted 68 times, punted it within the 20, 21 times, played in all 17 games, and punted it into the end zone 0 times. Now that is excellent. Number 2 is Braden Mann of the Eagles. He only punted it into the end zone once. Tress Way, the Washington punter, Mitch Wisnowski, the 49 punter, and Blake Gillikin, the Arizona punter, each only punted it into the end zone twice. And unfortunately, I know there's a lot of fans out there for this guy, but he has fallen apart on this statistic, and that is Ryan, the Stonehouse, kicked 10 touchbacks in the year. He has an 18.9% chance of kicking a touchback. That's super high, so that means he can kick it really far, but he does not have the best control over where it lands. So while you may be thinking, oh, I like the touchbacks the most, I like the net punts the most, I like the in the 20 the most, or I like the distance the most, as the official judge of punts, unless Mcaffe tells me otherwise, I decided the best way to do it is to combine your overall rankings for all of these. So this is the best way that I can find out truly once and for all the best punter going into 2024. It, I think, accounts for team situation as good as it possibly could. It accounts for all aspects of the punt, all the upside, all the downside, to truly who I would want on my all-pro punting team. Number 6 is the Stonehouse from Tennessee with an average rating of 9.25. So I will say he's very good at kicking it far, and if you're a team that doesn't think you're gonna get a lot of first downs and want to flip the field, he probably is your guy. But he cannot kick directly into the corner within the 5 like these other guys can. His touchbacks made him fall apart, which is why he is number 6 on this listing. The tie for 5th is between Cameron Johnston, former Houston punter, now is on the Steelers, had a really good preseason game, and A.J. Cole, the Rams punter, who's actually a Pro Bowl and All-Pro punter. So each of them averaged the 9th overall spot. The difference between these two is A.J. Cole punts it a little further. Cameron Johnston is a little more precise. Once again, up to you which one you like more. The 3rd place spot goes to Braden Mann of the Philadelphia Eagles with an average of 8.75 across the 4 rankings. He's really helped out because he's just solid across the board. Braden Mann seemed to specialize in distance, net punt yards, and touchbacks. Number 2, now this is going to be a close one. Some people like this guy more, but number 2 is Mitch Wisnowski, the San Francisco 49er punter. He is 31 years old, and he averaged 7.5 as his average position. He, once again, was very good at everything. Only 2 touchbacks, a 50% in the 20 rating. He doesn't punt it quite as far with the 47-yard average, but that could be explained by the in the 20 rating. Hard to argue with a punter who half the time punts it within the 20. Then finally, my undisputed punting champion of the world, Bryan Anger of the Dallas Cowboys. He averaged 6th overall in everything. He's just an all-around excellent punter. He averaged 51.5 yards per punt, a net punt of 45.3 yards per punt, only 2 touchbacks, and a 39% chance of punting it inside the 20. Now, you could argue the difference between these top 2 is that the Dallas Cowboys just want to punt it far, and their offense doesn't march down the field as often, and the 49ers just want to pin them deep. I can hear that argument. That's fair, but I'm just following the numbers, and the numbers say that Bryan Anger, best punter in the NFL. And then finally, the punting wheel of shame. Trenton Gill, the Chicago Bears punter, was the worst punter in the NFL last year, ranked 33 out of 32 teams. He averaged a 29.75 position, so he punted it into the end zone a bunch. He didn't kick it in the 20 much. He didn't punt it very far. Whew, not a good punter there. I didn't check, but I hope the Bears have changed their punter. So I hope you enjoyed. Leave your comments down below on who you think the best punter in the NFL is, and I will see you later.